So,
Wait.
what's that?
I'm trying to figure out how to make the account thing. I'm on the NYCCSF login portal. And I tried
No, there shouldn't be a CCSF login involved. Let me try it here. I'll go to my other browser that's not logged in, and let's see.
I clicked on where it says Sam Brown. Underneath, there's a canvas.
Yeah, ignore that one. You want the one on the page for this course. Yeah, that's the college one. In fact, yeah, go to this course and scroll down to this one.
What do I tap then? Where?
Yeah, take a look at, you go down here to the quizzes section. So first you start at samsclass.info, and then you click on the name of the course here. You have to scroll down a bit to get.
Oh wait, no. Wait.
Yeah, you have to scroll down a bit to get there. To get the fall 2024 classes. Now this is very good because people are always. So you get down to the fall 2024 classes section, and the last one is this class. Yep. So you click on that, and then you'll see this class in the textbook, and you scroll down a little bit to the quizzes section, and this is how you enroll on the right Canvas server that we're using. Good, and if anybody has trouble, oh, by the way, another thing I should mention, again, is that I am available to help you, not only here, but every evening, Monday through Thursday at 7:30. You can just connect to my Twitch. I have answer questions from any class then, including this one, and I can help you do things if you have trouble making an account or trouble with the projects or anything. Yeah?
So for where it says full name, is that going to be our username?
I don't know, I forget.
I will help you quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. The email is the only thing you need, but it's nice if you put something resembling your real name there. It makes it easier for me to sort the students and find you.
So I should put something other than my...
No, put your real name on the Canvas server, because that's private. The Canvas server, nobody else will see you. Yeah.
So when we enroll, we don't need a password?
You have to make an account.
Yeah, I did.
And you don't need to do a password to enroll. You just need an account on the server. Yeah. Good? This is good. Let me take a look and see how many people are already in the Canvas. That would be this browser. And let's see, I should be able to see the people. Okay, so there's some people in here. Oh, quite a few people are already in there. Good, all right. Anyway, if you have trouble, I can help you. And good, I'm glad to have these questions have come up. All right, so plenty of time to take care of that stuff. So any more questions before we start with chapter 1? All right, well, let me know if something comes up. All right, so let's take a look at this chapter 1 stuff, and let me figure out how to make it appear a reasonable size on the screen in here. I guess that'll do. All right. All right, guys. So, yeah, what's up?
Oh, I think you're calling roll call, I'm sorry.
No, by the way, I'm not going to take the roll. I will know whether you're in by whether you turn in something, like a quiz or a homework. That's how I'll keep track of who's here. Because since some people are connecting remotely, it's pretty difficult to take the roll. And the attendance does not affect your grade. All that affects your grade is the things you turn in, hands-on projects and quizzes. So, all right, guys, can you hold it down back there? Because other people won't be able to hear. Anyway, so the first thing you have to do is set up a Python environment. And so if you go to my page here, the page for this class, you scroll down a bit, you'll find the projects. And the first project is to prepare a Python environment. You're going to have to be able to program Python somewhere. How many of you have programmed in Python before? Oh, good. Then you'll find this pretty easy. It starts out easy, but it gets more interesting. Let me demonstrate. So first you need an environment. And let me go to my Opera that's already set up for this. So to have an environment, if you already have Python set up someplace and you're comfortable using it, feel free to use that. I like Google Colab just because everybody can use it no matter what they have for a computer. So, but set up one of these, Python and Google Colab, or installed locally, or a Jupyter Notebook. Any Python environment is fine. But now, when you do the projects, you get Google Colab working, and then there's a way to get a flag. When you see the green border, there's going to be a flag to turn in. So you find the word hidden behind the green box, and that is the flag to turn in. So this is project VP 11.1, and there's a word that goes there. So the way you turn it in and get points is up here. Enter flags. You choose, let me zoom in, you choose the right project, VP 11.1 here, and then you put in your name. That's the name, special name that will not appear on the scoreboard, and then you put in an answer. and it'll tell you whether you're wrong or right. And when you're right, you'll get points and be on the scoreboard. That's how you turn in your homework. It's just sort of like a video game. This is the standard in the security community, the capture flag contest. This is what everybody uses. And also, all the projects, or at least most of them, have two levels. There's an easy level, and then there's a harder level. And this one's not much harder, but you have to get your networking working. So some Python environments like replit will not let you use networking. So there's another flag to get down here for some more points. And if you go on to the later projects, my intention is to have something very easy and then harder and harder until I get to something pretty hard. How many of you have done Advent of Code? Just a couple? Yeah, that's awesome. I'm thinking I'm going to steal some from there. I've been doing that every year for a while. It's a coding challenges that appear every December, and they're wonderful. So they'll be good for fairly advanced projects. Anyway, so after you get your Python environment going, so you can do some programming, then, all right, so now we start talking about data types in Python. I find I spend most of my time in Python converting one data type to another. It can get pretty annoying, but that's the way it is. So here, you do not declare data types in Python the way you do in C. In C, you declare things as integer or character or float, and that way it's well defined, but Python uses loose typing. It guesses from the contents. So if you put something in quotes, it's a string. If you give it an integer, it's an integer. If you use a decimal point, it's a floating point variable. And you can see what they are there. So it figures it out. And here, I even put in a complex variable. I mentioned it in your textbook, although I don't think we're going to be using any complex math in this course. But you can have a number plus some number j. They use j for the imaginary number. If you don't know what complex numbers are, it doesn't matter for what we're doing here. You only need it if you're doing advanced math or physics. But anyway, it guesses at data types. All right, and so here's the basic data types, what you'd expect. There's numeric data types, integer and float. There's Boolean, which contain either the value true or false. And then there's sequences that just have a series of numbers, like from 1 to 10. And you can have a string or a range, and you can have lists and tuples. And we'll have a few more later, but there's the basic data types in Python. And so integers are just numbers without a decimal point, whole numbers. Floating point numbers have a decimal point. Complex numbers have, that should be a j, I guess, an imaginary portion. And Boolean data is either true or false. So let me just do some of this live so you can see. If you have a program here, you just put in stuff. So I can say A equals true. It changes color, indicating it knows what it is. Then I can print, say A, and I can print type of A to see what kind of variable it is. And so when you run that, it takes a few seconds to create a virtual machine for you to run in, which Google gives you for free on their servers. And then it runs, and there you go. So it's true class Boolean. But if I were to make this, now it's going to be a string, not the Boolean word true. Be quotes around it will turn it into a string. So, like I say, that's the way you do things. And this is very nice. By the way, these things are very powerful. These things are so powerful you can do machine learning in them. You can even do computer vision in them. I teach classes that way. You can even get GPUs and TPUs in them to some extent for free. These Google Cloud machines we're using are fantastic, and you can't beat the price. Anyway, yeah.
You just click on that thing right there, and it'll bring you to that page, or how do you get to that page?
You go to, it's here, you go to colab.research.google.com. And then you log into Google, and then you can make a new workbook. So just when you do this first project, you'll set one up, I recommend. It's the best, easiest environment to do Python programming in. Good? And he's doing the right thing, bring up questions. Don't suffer. There's a reason we have a teacher in a class here instead of just a video. So, all right. So you can have sequences. Now here, let me see what I did in this one. Yeah, so I have two strings, foo and bar. Then I add them together to make a new string object, and then you can refer to slices of the string. So let me just do that here while I'm demonstrating things. All right. So now that I have a string, I could print A sub 1 and type of A sub 1. That will give me a slice containing the second letter, which is R, because it starts counting at 0. And you can have a range. You can do 1, 2, 3. And that'll give me the RU from the second from the 0, 1, 2, 3, it goes from 1 to 3, not inclusive. So it includes the first and second character, starting counting at 0. So it gives me RU. And you'll need this a lot as we go ahead in the project. You'll need to cut up strings and find the useful pieces inside there.
I'm glad this part's the same as in Java. I went really far in Java.
Oh, good. If you already know any programming language, then they're all pretty much the same, very similar. Yeah. All right.
I've also seen a lot of videos of people coding in Python, so I
Yeah.
know the general structure.
Well, that's good. If you know one, and by the way, if you only know one language these days, it should be Python. It's the all-purpose language. Most people hiring you are going to be using Python. Some people at enterprises are using Java or .NET or something, but for general purpose, Python is usually the easiest way to get a job done. All right. So that's strings. And I don't know how to shrink this back down. Let's see. Fit, I say. There we go. All right. One thing about strings is they're immutable. So let's try that. That's an interesting fact about Python. So A is true. Now if I try to change it, if I try to change A sub 0 to P and run this, it's going to give me an error saying string object does not support item assignment. You're not allowed to change a string once you've made it. Now one thing that's confusing is you can do this. You can do A plus equals P.
And
That adds a P on the end. And it won't complain, and the reason it doesn't complain is because it created a new string. It took the old string, added something to it, and created a new string, but that's not obvious from the code. It looks like you changed A, but you didn't. You replaced A with a different new object, and you won't be able to change anything about the new object either. So that's true. Several Python types are immutable like that. Yeah?
You could technically, using the same method as A with the brackets 1:3, to remove where the T is, and then you can do A equals in the quotes P plus in the quotes.
Yes, and let's do that. I'm glad you bring it up. So if I wanted to change the first letter to P, the way to do it would be to say B equals P plus A sub 1 to the end. That would do it. And now if I print P, let's print P down here. And I guess I'll keep printing the type, although it's just going to be string. Let's see if I got my, trying to zoom in there. Okay, I got my parentheses matched. That's what I was worried about. Okay. Yeah, this should do it. What did I do wrong? Oh, P is not defined. Oh, it's B. Okay, well, I'll call it P up here then. Inconsistent. Okay, there we go. All right, and so now I've created that word I wanted, true. Let me get this thing out of the way. Yeah, that's how you can create true without changing anything. You take part of the string and that's right. Good. All right.
I was going to say you could also just straight up do it with replace all those P's with A's, and it'll replace A with the new A.
Yes, you can use string replace method. Good, there are lots of ways to do it. Okay. By the way, another thing about Python is you have triple quotes, which let you have multi-line strings, which I don't know if other languages have that. You can put in triple quotes, and now you can say true or false, and all those go into the string.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, you can have multi-line strings in Python. I'm not aware of other languages that let you do that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. All right.
I figured the triple quotes would break it.
No.
You need the backslash to have the quotes.
Nope. Single or triple quotes, that's what they mean. All right. So anyway, then there's ranges. So if we put, let's set A equals range of 10. All right, now trying to defeat all these pop-ups trying to help me. Okay, and then that'll do, let's make this A. All right, so you can define a range object, and that gives you it's called a range object going from 0 to 10. You can also go from like 2 to 10 by 2s. And it's not obvious here. If you want to see what's in there, you can do for n in range in A. Now here's an important thing about Python. It doesn't use curly braces like C does. So if you have a block of statements that are referred to by something, here I have a for that's going to loop through something, what you do is you indent the next line. And as long as they're indented, you're in the loop, and when you stop being indented, you're out of the loop. And that seemed really weird to me at first, but after a while it becomes natural. So
I do that in Java already, so that works out great for me.
yeah, it is pretty nice. I had to write, one time I had a consultant, I consult for companies, and this company, they wanted a defective bank app so they could practice hacking into bank apps. And I said, you want a bad app? I can do that. I have that skill. So I wrote the world's worst app in PHP, and it was like 30 lines. And they said, no, you must write it in Node.js. Node.js is really, really, really confusing and annoying, in case you haven't noticed. It turned into 800 lines of Node, and I had to do it in 4 days. But anyway, I did that thing, and it doesn't do this. I had like 8 deep curly braces. It was pretty crazy. But anyway, so here, this is going to print n and type of n. And then at the end, I'm going to print end, just so we can see the difference. Print end. There. And so the point here is, let me get rid of that so you can see it. All right. The point here is I define this range object. Then for every element in that range, I'm going to print it out. That's indented, so that's going to happen as many times as there are elements. And at the end, it's going to print end, and that's not in the loop because it's not indented.
So that works as an enhanced for loop going through. So range replaces the, what are they called?
In C, they have a similar thing.
Yeah. The one where it's the group of things.
Yeah, and by the way,
So range
yeah.
replaces arrays in Java.
No, it's not an array, it's just a range object, series of numbers. I think it might technically be a list. I'm not sure exactly what it is behind the scenes. And by the way, here's another thing that seemed a little alien to me. You can put a string up here, like hello. And now you can just do for n in the string, and it will just loop through the letters in the string, HELLO.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of fun.
So it's an enhanced for loop, but it works for everything.
Yes. And, you know, when I started, I learned really primitive languages like BASIC, a language from the 1960s. It doesn't even exist anymore. And the only loop you could make was numbers. For I is 1 to 10. So I was always figuring out how long something is, counting numbers to the end, referring to the ith element of things. And you don't have to do that in Python. You can just do for A in the string. It'll loop through the elements in the string.
And then you put an if statement in there to check what it is and isn't what you want to find.
You could. And so let's try that. If I wanted to only print the L's, I'd do if n equals L. And by the way, you need 2 equal signs because if you had 1 equal sign, it would assign that value to a variable.
Yeah, but you can't have that in an if statement.
Well, I think you can, but it would always be true. Anyway, the point is this is the one that actually checks to see if it's L. And so if it's L, I'm going to print I saw an L, there we are. And so it'll only do that when it's an L, otherwise it'll print down there.
The only problems I can see with the difference between Python and Java is I'm going to have to break a lot of habits I have. Like
Yes.
putting the semicolon at the end of every line.
Yes.
Putting if statements in. Can we still have if statements in parentheses, or do they break?
Oh, no, you can put parentheses, and that's what I'm in the habit of doing too. Some languages require this. It's harmless if you do that.
Okay, yeah, because that just helps me
yeah.
figure out what is and isn't part of it.
Oh yes, me too. I often do it, even though it's not strictly
And
required.
instead of the curly brace, it's just going to be a colon. Just
Yes,
and
the important thing is every time you have anything that refers to statements after, you have this colon. After colon, you always have to have an indented block. And another thing that really hurts people is they use tabs and spaces inconsistently. Each line has to be indented exactly the same amount. And by the way, I saw a survey recently that said that programmers that indent with spaces make more money than programmers that indent with tabs. So there. Anyway, it's one of those arguments. All right, and then there's lists. Let's talk about lists. And you can put anything in a list. So let's make a list here. You put it in square brackets. So I can have 1, 2, true, hello. And I can even have a tuple like 1, comma 2, a two-dimensional object in here. I think this will work, although it seems to have an extra square bracket at the end. I'm not sure about that tuple. We're going to see. Then for n in A, I don't need this anymore. There, print. There we are. Let's see what this does. There we are. So everything's there. So these are the elements: numbers, Boolean variables, strings, and even tuples. Multiple dimensional objects are in here, and you can add them all to a list. Yeah, so this list is very smart. It will go through all the elements in there, even though they're all different. All right. And by the way, lists are mutable. So I could do A, so let's see, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So A sub 4 is that tuple. If I want to get rid of the A sub 4 and turn it into Fred, I can do that. So it won't complain, and it prints Fred now. So you can use a list if you want to be changing the values in there, not a string.
Yeah.
All right.
You put the strings in the list and then
Right.
you can edit them easier.
Right. Good. All right. And let me see how long this thing goes. I'll find out what I'm doing here. So this is 12:45 to 2:10. Okay, we got plenty of time. All right. I can just keep going here. All right. So let me talk about membership and identity and logical operators and such. Might as well keep going. So there's in and not in. So now, let's go back to this example. And I have this mess, so I'm going to say, instead of a 4, I'm going to do if 1 is in the list. A, let me get my brightness back. All right. Then print
It needs to be.
I need a quote. There. So that's membership. You can see if something is contained in an object, and it is contained, but if I put 3, then it's not going to find it, and so it just skips that and prints to the end. And of course, in case you don't know, the next thing you need, if you want to have a separate branch, you use else, colon, print, not found. All right, that's if and then else. All right. All right.
This is going to be great.
Yeah, so that's membership, and then of course you can do not in, which is obvious what that is, the not, then things do not in the list.
It's the equivalent of having the exclamation point in Java. It's
Yes,
the not-
yeah,
it's the not-
just the word not here, yeah, good? All right. All right, and then you got is and is not to see if two variables refer to the same object. Now this, by the way, is something that cost me like 3 days of mad frustration doing the advent of code. This is a cruel thing about Python.
So this is the same as dot equals then?
I don't know what dot equals is.
Dot equals in Java is like if you have the variable a refers to the word or the string word yes, and then variable b is also referring to the string word yes.
Yes.
But they're two separate things. Dot equals compares them to see if they're equal.
You're right, that's what it is.
Referring to the same object.
Yeah, well, let
And
me-
there's
yeah.
even a subclass for it where you can add ignore case. So it'll just ignore uppercase and lowercase, and it'll be even better.
Oh, good. All right. Well, let me show you something here. So you can print just this. Let me get rid of this stuff. Or you can print just A. All right, and it will print the whole list, and there it is. Now, if since the list is mutable, like I did before, I could change A sub 3 to Fred, and now when I print it, this is turned to Fred. Now, this is something that drove me insane, because I was used to other programming languages. I had a list named A, then I wanted another list that contained the same information, B equals A, then I would print A and print B. All right, so I make another list from the first one, I change the first one to contain Fred, and I expected the other one to still contain hello.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. They're identical. Now this makes sense to somebody, although not me. When you do that, it does not create a new list. It just makes a new name pointing to the same object. I couldn't believe this, because older languages I know, like COBOL and Fortran and BASIC and everything, and C do not do that. And I had to learn this. If you actually want a copy of it, you have to do deep copy. That gave me a headache. Now you're going to have a second list that copied the first one, which in my opinion should be the default operation, but it is not in Python.
That's annoying.
And list doesn't have deep copy. Well, and I guess I'm confused. Now, by the way, this is helpful. I get to show you something.
Right-click deep copy, it might give you suggestions.
Well, it might, but here's another thing you can do. You can print a directory of an object. If I print a directory of an object, it's going to show me all the methods that object has. And I'm going to comment out that line. There we are. So it does. All right.
The comments are pound signs, yes, or
Yeah, and so here it shows me what you can do with it. So I got contains. Now the underscore ones are ones you're not expected to use. Those are ones internally used. The ones without the underscores are the actual methods that a normal programmer would use, like copy. Oh, just there is a copy, but there's not a deep copy. So I guess it's just copy. Let's try that. Now the cooler thing would be to actually read the documentation and know what you're doing, but I'm sloppy and don't have the patience for that. So
There's no more red line.
it's not complaining, and now it did what I wanted. Now the one list has changed and the other list has not changed, so copy is what did it. Sometimes it's deep copy for, those are for mathematical objects I was using. Anyway, so that's another fun thing to know. All right, so is and is not, check to see if things are pointing to the same object. And all right, and you got and, or, and not as we talked about it. So you can do if A is greater than 0 and B is greater than 0, and so on. And I would normally put parentheses around these just for my own sanity, but it's not really required. And tuples are immutable. We talked about them already. You can make a tuple that contains various objects in curvy parentheses, not square brackets. And then it's immutable, and you can put anything in there just like a list. All right, and that may be enough of this.
Wait.
Yeah, well, I'll just keep going because we're coming up to cahoots, but go ahead. Yeah, tuples are just like lists. The only difference is they appear in curly parentheses instead of square brackets.
Okay, but you can still change. No.
No, you cannot change an object. Just like lists are not mutable. Lists are mutable, tuples are immutable.
Okay, so once you make a tuple, you can't change it.
Right.
It's locked in.
Right, you'd have to make.
Basically, it would be a good way to like save a score.
Yeah, it's supposed to be data. Yeah, you can save some data there. Good. All right.
Well, are you able to add things to a tuple?
Not if you're changing it, but it probably would create a new tuple the same way. Let's try it. This is a good question. Okay, let's make a tuple here. Let's get rid of all this and just say A equals 1, 2, blue. Okay, there's a tuple. And now I'm going to try B equals A plus foo. I don't think that's going to work, but we're going to find out. Yep, it's immutable. You can't concatenate string to tuple. There might be some way to do it inside the tuple, but I don't know how.
So what you're saying is that tuples cannot be appended?
Right, they cannot be modified. There might be an append operation, but I don't think so. That's why you'd have to actually look. I've never done it. Well, let's try that. That would be A.append foo. This is what you would do if it was a list. This would work. Maybe this will work. Control delete, there we go. Let's see if that does it. I've never tried to do that, but nope, you can't append either. So again, there probably is some way to do it, but I don't know how you would modify a tuple.
What was it that you had to do because as far as I can tell, when you typed in for A, it looked identical to the last time, but it changed it from a list to a tuple.
Right, all you do is change the brackets. If these are brackets, then it's a list.
So if they're parentheses, then it's a tuple. If it's brackets,
It's a list.
It's a list.
Yeah, but now you can append things. Although,
Oh.
it prints B, that's why. By the way, that's a fun fact about this environment. It remembers all the previous things you've done. So I defined B a while back, and even though that code is off the screen, it still remembers. So that could get you in trouble.
Oh, wait. Are you saying that
B
is still all the way up there?
Yeah, B is.
You were deleting everything.
I am, and that does not remove its effect. If you defined anything in this environment, it's going to stay until you delete it and make a new workbook. That's a thing to be aware of. That could drive you crazy. So let's try printing A here.
Wait, in that case, you could technically save a secret message in there.
Oh yeah.
And then unless someone knows, like you could save it in a specific variable named A and then a string of numbers.
Yeah.
And the numbers are like passive. That would be so cool.
And that is how you're supposed to handle passwords and API keys for security. They're not supposed to be in your code. They're supposed to be in environment variables. And you can save these whole workbooks and publish them and let other people run them. And when you do, Google will pop a box saying you're running something that Google didn't write. That might be unsafe. Because it could contain all kinds of sneaky things like that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so these are very good questions. All right, and now we've managed to add a foo to the end of the list, but it's not a tuple. All right, and so there's complex data types, there's a few more to know about here, like dictionaries. A dictionary is a group of key value pairs. So let me just make one here. I'll make a, I'll just call it A again. A equals, here you use curly braces, and now you do 1 colon frog, 2 colon fish, 3 colon 4. Again, you can have different kind of data types. This is a dictionary where the first number is the key and the second number is the value. And so now I can print A.
So that works like an array.
It's not very much like an array. It's a strange object. Then you can print A sub 2. And I may have, normally you use strings, but I think this will work. Let's see how this works. So there's my dictionary, and element 2 is fish. And by the way, your keys don't have to be numbers. It can be foo, and foo turns into bar. And now I can print A element indexed by foo. And that's what a dictionary is. It seems kind of strange, but under certain circumstances, this is a handy data type to use.
You could use that to actually make a dictionary.
Oh yeah.
You type in the word from the other language, and it'll print out what the translation is.
Yeah, that's right. All right.
Okay, that's why I get why it's called dictionary.
Yeah, it's pretty descriptive. And then there's sets. Sets are the sets from number theory. You can make a set, you can decide if a set is included in another set. I have never used them. We'll see if at any point in this course, I'm only done the first 3 chapters, I haven't developed all the projects yet. Maybe there'll be something where we need to use a set. But I think unless we're doing advanced theoretical mathematics, there's not much use to it. But anyway, you can make sets, which are another, you put them in curly braces. And see, comparing with the set, not curly braces, you use the word set. And then you can decide if one set is contained in another set, and so on.
What did that, hold on, what does that middle thing say? It's not there, the bullet points.
Iterable, mutable, and has unique objects.
I
Yeah.
don't know what iterable means.
It means you can include a set in itself. And we're going to do a lot of that next time. We're going to do code that calls itself. That's a big thing about Python. It used to only be true of Pascal. Python is a iterative language. You can have a function that calls itself, and we're going to do that a lot. All right. And so immutable sets, you can't change it after creation. You can make a frozen set, which is an immutable set. Otherwise, it's mutable. So then there's something called the collections module they talk about in your book that provides a whole bunch of new, even more complicated data structures. And I'm not planning to go through them in any detail because I've never used them. I don't think we need them. I think the normal structures will be good enough for what we're doing in this class, but there are more available. And this, of course, is why everybody loves Python. Whatever you're doing, somebody has written a library that does all the hard work. And all you have to do is import that library and figure out how to use it. So cryptography, blockchains, AI, image processing, somebody has written a library that does all the work. You just need to make a call. That's why it's really popular. So let's try a Kahoot. Yeah, go ahead.
Earlier you set up a line of code that printed out a line of all the different things you could do. Could you pull that up?
I found that very helpful. That was directory. So if I want to find out what this thing is, I can print the type of it here to find out what it is. And when I get really confused, now of course the cooler thing to do would be to like Google and find the actual manual or something, but I'm often too impatient for that. I know pretty much what I want, and so what I do is the directory. Derive. There. And so it'll print that, and the dir is what shows you all the things it can do, all the methods of that object. By the way, everything in Python is an object, and it's object-oriented, and you attempt to be, I'll just mention something, I might throw it in the projects. In my hacking classes, we do techniques to break into servers. And Python is vulnerable to this. You can do unbelievable things in Python. You can, if you have a place like a web page where you take a string from the user, like a username, and handle it as a string, you can use these methods on a string, and you can actually make a complicated string that will go up to the root of the object tree, back down, import libraries the developer did not want to import, and execute arbitrary commands. It is unbelievably dangerous. But anyway, yeah.
Would you say like Java or C++ is more secure than Python?
C++ is spectacularly insecure. It is so bad everyone's abandoning it and moving to Rust because it has all the memory corruption vulnerabilities. Java I think is considered relatively secure.
Okay.
And Python has strange different flaws. The main one is this object inheritance thing. And, but yeah, I teach a whole lot of hacking classes where we have these, that thing is called SSTI, template injection, is the thing where you take over the server through a string. Anyway, I may add that project to the class as we go ahead, we'll see. But anyway, so let's try a Kahoot. These are just in-class quizzes that help stop people from falling asleep, is all they do. And let's see, I think I got them, here we are. And you know, by the way, you can earn some extra credit. If you're in the top 3 of the Kahoots, you earn extra credit. And it's just going to ask you a few review questions, and it's going to rate you on accuracy and speed.
Yep.
So let's see if I can get it to fit on the screen, which is, let's see, that seems like it's on the screen well enough. Let's see. All right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yes. Probably. I mean, yeah. Gary Ellison, yeah. What's that? Yeah. So go to Kahoot.it and then type in that number in the name, and you can compete. And people that are connecting remotely can also do this. So it's good for that. I had one student who was a really powerful penetration tester and figured out how to cheat at the Kahoots, but it was really sloppy. Anyway, if you do find a way to hack anything like my website, that's worth extra credit. But anyway, yeah. Just don't hack this college. I don't have the authority to approve that. Just hack my stuff. See the source code. That's a start, yeah. All right, so let's. Good. Good. All right, let's try a few of these. All right, so what data type is that? All right, that's Boolean, contains true. All right. Boolean's either true or false. All right. How about this? There should only be, oh, triple quote. Triple quotes are all right. Okay. It's in triple single quote. All right, that's a string. All right.
I don't read fast enough.
Yep. Some people don't even like doing the Kahoots because, you know, they're not game players. But anyway, most people like them. They're optional. All right, what data type is best if you want to store all the counting numbers from 1 to 10? All right, looks like I can move this over a little. Yeah, that's a range, of course. The range is the object to store that sort of thing. And good. All right, and what kind of data type is that? That's a list, and by the way, lists are mostly what I use. Lists are the most handy way to get most things done. I use them far more often than the more complicated things like dictionaries. All right. That's it. Just a few questions. Now I'm going to record the winners. And get to my page here. Let's go here and do. This is or something. 828. All right. So Robert S. These look like real names, that's good. You can use fake names on the Kahoots, but if you do, you'll have to tell me your real name to get your points. Anyway, so I think that's all for that lecture. Let me stop recording.